Coming to you live from the Business Radio X studio, it's Franchise Marketing Radio. Elevate your franchise with Franchise Now. We tell your brand story on our radio podcast and boost it with powerful content marketing strategies. From blogs and videos to infographics and more, we enhance your brand's SEO and online visibility. Let Franchise Now help your franchise stand out in a crowded market. Visit us today and learn more to start your journey for greater visibility and success. And now, here's your host.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Franchise Marketing Radio, the podcast dedicated to exploring the successes and innovations in the franchising world. And today is no different. We have two really important things to talk about. One is the senior care industry, and two is how great of a business model that we have here to talk about in that industry, in the franchising world. So a lot of innovation has gone into this brand, and I want to kind of talk to Frank Samson, who's our guest today. He's the CEO and founder of Senior Care Authority, and he's going to dive in what has made them successful over this last decade plus. And we're going to go ahead and dive into that right now. Frank, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Rob, thanks. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor.
You got it. You got it. So like what I just teed up there, I mentioned it kind of quickly. I said 8 consecutive years of being named top franchise from Franchise Business Review, which is a unique publication because of the way they approach the research. And it's obviously one that is not easy to do, right? It just has to be there. The facts have to be there. And I know they do it by talking to franchisees as well. But tell me a little bit about, what went into that consistency. What do you think that secret was for the brand to see that success year in and year out?
Well, it's really not a secret per se, because, as you said, Franchise Business Review, they don't interview us at Senior Care Authority Corporate. They interview and ask pretty extensive questioning of our franchise owners. So to have that honor each and every year does say something that about our franchisees, and I think from what we see and what we hear from them, a lot has to do with our training and our support. So much of it goes into that, and trust. That's huge that our franchisees trust us, like our training, like our support, like our ongoing training. And we listen to what they have to say. So I think that's really the key why we have received that honor for so many consecutive years.
Trust and listen. I heard those two words, big words in the franchise industry, keywords. So, but tell me a little, let's back up a little for the audience. A lot of them listen, and know a lot of the brands I bring in. I have talked to a lot of people in the senior care industry and am very aware of it. For the audience, I do have a relationship with Frank. I do know him and work with him, and I believe a lot in his brand and in the industry. But tell the audience a little bit about, one, the industry and how you got into, why you started the brand, really, and in the industry and the need.
Yeah, so it's kind of a long story, but I got into it for many of the similar reasons why our franchisees have gotten into it. Many people who have been through this with family members then needing care, maybe a family member that has had some cognitive issues like Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia. And when you go through that, it really does something to you. And I had to, I was caring myself, my siblings, caring for my parents. And unfortunately they passed away, and kind of a light bulb went off with me because I wasn't in the industry at all. And I just took some time and did a lot of research and started it, and kind of built the model that I thought would work, and tested it, and tested in the Bay Area where I was living I'm still living there. And I saw that it worked. And so I had some background in franchising in my past. And so we started it, and Fortunately, usually those first few are the toughest to bring on, but we brought them on, and have had quite a success story since.
Yeah, and I honestly, and I do. I've interviewed, I don't know, hundreds of brands on the show, and they all, some of them are similar in similar markets. In senior care, I will say the why behind that. When I talk to franchisees or the brands that I've talked to, it's a powerful why. It's probably the most powerful one I've ever heard of, because usually people have a real desire to help, right? And make an impact. And then you have a great business model sitting next to it. That's just an amazing way to approach a business. So it's a great combination of having a real desire and a real why with a great business model that works really well to help you grow. And so, but when you talk about these high levels of satisfaction, I said 8 years in a row, you win this award that is, again, based on third party research, and you're not part of that at all. So eight, whether it was 5 out of 8 or 8 out of 8, right, which is amazing. But what do you think it might be? Is there something in the leadership, something in your approach to managing the brand that you think helps with delivering? And you did give us a couple clues with the trust and the listening, but is there anything else you would point to that would help a franchisor accomplish that?
Well, first of all, I always look at our franchisees. We call them, of course, franchise owners, but they're my customers. So, like you run any business and treat your customers with the utmost respect, they're our customers. So you got to have that mindset. And our staff, I drill that into them that these are our customers. They are the ones that are paying your salaries, so I always want to remind them of that. And you have that mindset. And we also, I'm a big believer that it shouldn't be a us and them type of scenario. We should really be operating the business as one. And we do. We involve our franchisees in a lot of our decision making. I'm going to say, I said it before, but I'll say it again because it's important. We do listen to them. We don't necessarily always agree, but I'd have to say our franchise owners have tremendous backgrounds. I mean, we have attorneys and accountants and some that came from the healthcare industry and people in sales and marketing. We have some brilliant people. And to think that we know it all it would be a mistake. So, when we're deciding on things, and we had so of course have a great framework for them to start. But as time goes, we listen to what they have to say, and and they might make recommendations that we implement. I think we have grown because of them. Okay, and I'll give you some examples of how we involve them. Our franchise advisory board, which I call our Fab Four, kind of a big Beetle, So they're elected by our own franchisees. We don't appoint them; they're elected by our other franchisees, and they're there to represent them, so they could provide input, and we bounce ideas off of them as well. And so that's been a great thing that we did some years back. Our training, I talked a little bit about our training, and some of our training and coaching is actually done by some of our franchise owners. All right. And we pay them. We pay them to do it. So certainly it's not taking up that much of their time that they can't operate their business. But I'll give you an example. There too, we have a CRM that we use called Salesforce, pretty well-known program. And our main trainer on that program is a franchise owner who has a background in Salesforce and actually ran Salesforce for a very large company that he was with prior. So after he gained some experience in the senior care business and our business, then he and I spoke, and he's now our trainer. We have coaches that provide guidance to new franchises that are owners of their own business as well, franchisees. So by involving them in the process and not operating it as us and them and separating the two, we really try to operate our business together with them, and that shows.
Yeah, I was going to ask you a little bit, elaborate on training, right? And just because when you think of senior care or assisted living or the different things that you guys work with, you often might go right to, oh, I need to have a degree or some type of medical background. Or could you unpack the business model a little bit? And really, we did talk about the why. So a lot of the franchisees are definitely have a heart to serve and help families and maybe have a reason, an experience of their own. But what does that business model look like? How are they helping families? How does that break down? Could you explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. I read a book that had the greatest impact on me some years back. I'm sure many of your listeners have read it. If they haven't, they should. It's called Blue Ocean Strategy. All right. And Blue Ocean Strategy, the basic concept of it is, you go into the ocean, and if you go to the water where it's red, the sharks are there, right? If you go into the area that's blue, the sharks aren't there, all right? And so I've always been a big believer of creating a business model, and I've been in other businesses as well, that is quite unique. And your competition, what the so-called competition, isn't even doing what you're doing. You're over in the blue ocean, they're in the red,
Right.
part of the ocean. So I just wanted to preface that, but an example of that, certainly we're in what we call the senior placement business, and we're there to help families find the right place to live and to get proper care. And it's to get proper care. It may not be in the assisted living or memory care that we mainly concentrate on. It may be finding a home care company for them. It may be finding someone to go just to visit with them. It might be as it relates to, we have a driving program to help people assess whether, they should still remain behind the wheel. There's a lot of different services that we have. Our core business, of course, is placement. Some call it referral business. We have competitors in that business, but I have to say a lot of the other things that we do, we don't have a whole lot of competition. And so and one feeds the other. So even though we might handle a family and helping them with placement, that could lead into other parts of our business. If they're not ready for placement, then there are other services that we could provide. So if I think that's what you meant as far as unpacking, we have a number of different services, but it all comes down to, helping those families and where we don't ever have to turn our back on them and say, I'm sorry, we don't do that. It's going to always be, we're going to find the best, the best service for you to provide the best care for your loved one, whether we're providing it or not. Yeah.
Yeah. It's what I noticed, and I told the audience earlier, I do know the brand, right? So obviously I know the brand, but some of the unique things you mentioned, Peace of Mind, right? That's a
Right.
program.
That's what we call a piece
You
of
have
mind. Right.
right Beyond Driving with Dignity is another one, and then you also have one called Ease. And this is what you're referring. Maybe you could share a little bit of detail about those programs, but that's kind of the blue ocean part, right? That's what you've equipped the business model with, not only to help, it's always a win-win-win, but you're helping the family really get what they need, because you never quite know where they are in their journey. So you've created a lot of angles to kind of help them where they're at and move them forward, right? The end result might be a new living situation, right? Assisted living or what have you. But there's other things along the way. And that's sort of where I think, from what I can tell, is where some of that blue ocean is, where you can create some
Yeah.
unique.
No, Ease is a great example of blue ocean, and our franchise owners, the way the model is built, the majority of their business, though some comes online, some of it comes from people going online and requesting information. The far majority of their business comes from professional referrals, hospitals, skilled nursing facilities, elder law attorneys. There's a list a mile long, right? And that's worked for us extremely well. But we looked at what are other sources out there that could provide referrals to our franchisees, and we could help those particular organizations. Ease is really where we would approach companies. All right. And, again, a lot of it comes down to trust. So we're going to those discharge planners at the hospitals or the skilled nursing facilities and say, trust us with your patients. We go to the elder law attorneys or financial planners, trust us with your clients. We go to the human resources department of companies and say, trust us with your employees. And it's another referral source. And so it's working out extremely well. It's a little bit different of approach, but it kind of still works the same way, is that, they have, whether it's various customers or patients or an employee that has a need, we're there to provide that assistance.
Yeah. And I actually think even beyond the business model side, I think it was a brilliant idea for the awareness side. It works so well as a business idea because of the need that's in the marketplace, I believe, at least because I'm the ideal customer, probably my age and, my older parents and everything else. So I think about it a lot. It's definitely something that's been on my mind too over the last several years. But I think when you think about partnering with organizations through, to get to their employees and share, you're really helping the mass market, because there's still a real problem with awareness. And I was going to ask you your thoughts on it. But basically, and I was kind of surprised. I'm like, who doesn't know? And I realized I've been in the franchise business for over 20 years. And so it's been pretty much on the radar of franchise brands as far as the senior care industry has been for quite a while. But for everyday people, it's like we don't know how to deal with it until it happens, right? Until it really happens. And usually we procrastinate. And so, but tell us a little bit about that awareness, because I think when you partner with organizations and you get in front of their audience of employees and partners and families, you're really doing them a service, because there's a real awareness problem. People just don't know what to do, and they wait too long sometimes. But tell me how ease can be that bridge as well to that local market and those businesses.
Well, it's educating. We have to. You and I have talked about this in the past. I say it's kind of a double sell, right? First, the company says, yeah, this is something we need and our employees need, and it will help us to keep employees longer and provide these types of, help them at home so they don't have to take so much time off of work and all of that. So that I don't want to say it's easy, but that's the easier part.
Yeah.
Okay. The second part is, all right, now that the company is behind this, we need to educate their employees and let them know about this. And it's not like a benefit that they could use all the time. They get a discount at Holiday Inns. All right. Well, they travel and they could get a discount at Holiday Inn. This, a family or a particular person may have a need for our services maybe once in a lifetime, maybe two. All right. So we have to keep in front of their employees and continuously educate them on that, on the various services, because when that need arises, now they need it. It's not, people don't, like you said, a lot of people wait too long, but they don't plan for it. They go, my dad's going to need this type of care probably in the next 4 or 5 years. Maybe I should start looking at it. And it doesn't work that way. Okay. It's when it happens right then. So hopefully if we keep them in the back of their mind, even if they don't remember our name. All right. And they go, oh God, my dad is going to need some help. I remember this seminar that was done, or I remember seeing something in the newsletter, or I remember this email. And they go back to human resources and go, what was that company's name that oh, it's Senior Care Authority. Great. I need to talk to them. So you can't, if, we're learning, because these is kind of has been a relatively new concept in our industry to go to companies with this type of service. So what we've learned is we have to keep marketing to them in a soft sell type of way. You can't create the need. It's not like you need to buy this product now. I mean, if they don't need it, they don't need it. It's just, it's kind of a constant education program. And, we're finding by doing that, it works, it works,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So it's,
Well, and I think
yeah,
I was going to say, in today's world, it is very much about that. It's like, keep giving to me until I'm ready to do something. But you're
right.
just always in front of me, giving me
But
something
it's
that's,
not like, we don't come hard sell like, hey, if you call us now,
no, it's valuable. Yeah.
discount. No, it's really educate them, on the industry and things that are going on and different types of care, and, just letting them know that we're there when they need us, type of thing. And as I say, even if they don't remember our name, they could go to HR and go, who's that company again? So,
Yeah.
uh,
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, let me shift gears a little, not totally, but just a little bit, and get into a little bit of technology talk. I know the brand also like has won other awards. They win a lot of awards, but one of them was most innovative, I believe, a few months back.
right.
And I think that and I know we work together, so I can speak to some of this, but I'm going to let you speak for us. Yeah, how do we approach technology? I wanted to talk a little bit about AI, right? Maybe just overall about how you approach technology as a CEO, what you believe it's for, and how it helps the franchisees, and a little bit about how we believe AI. And I know you work with me, and I believe it. That just up leveling everybody's skills around AI is important. We believe that, and so maybe let's talk a little bit about what we're doing there. So I want to ask you first, technology wise, why is technology so important to a brand, especially now?
Well,
And what's your view?
I'm going to speak for our brand because it's a little bit different than some other types of franchises. I mean, the average number of people that operate our franchises is just under two. Think about that, just under two, right? So you've got somebody who operates it themselves. You've got some husband-wife teams. You've got some father-son teams. You've got, and we have some of our largest franchises might have a handful of people working for them. All right. So these are small operations. And when I was telling you before, when I kind of tested this out, I actually did this for about 5 years myself. I got some help from my wife, doing it. And I wanted to see how much one person or a little over one person can handle. All right. And the one thing I learned is you could do a lot, but you can't do all the types of things that need to be done to try to increase your chance of success from a technological standpoint. All right. And a marketing standpoint. I mean, I remember going back and, social media is much bigger now than when I started, but it was still out there. And I said, God, I got to make time to, do more posts on Facebook or do more posts and keep my name out there. I was always working hard, taking time, writing a newsletter and getting an email newsletter out to my contacts. So our approach is almost like we're the back office for all of our franchises. All right. Not only have we set up a very sophisticated CRM program for them, but we'll do social posting for them. We'll do the email marketing program, but they don't have to do a thing. And it's going to be done for them. It's like we're their back office. All right. And I have to say that doesn't necessarily happen with all franchises, but we need to do that, or else our franchisees will be too tied up in doing those things themselves, which will keep them away of going out and building those relationships that are so important in being successful. Now, as it relates to AI, and you know this better than anybody, I mean, I look at AI and go, this is bigger than anything we've ever done. This is bigger than email marketing. This is bigger than social media. This is bigger than email. Yeah. Okay, this is bigger than all of that. And I don't think everybody really realizes that. All right. So we're taking steps to educate our franchisees to help them improve efficiencies in their own business, and where they could utilize AI in a way that they never dreamed of, and it might, so I'm learning, we're all learning, that. And again, as I said earlier, we have, some of our own franchisees have great backgrounds in that, and we lean on them for input too, regarding AI. So I think the way our franchisees will operate their operations in the future, if we fast forward 2 years from now, it'll be quite different than it is today. One thing won't change, I believe, is they still will be going out and building those relationships, but they're even going to have more time to do that than they do today, because AI will be working for them behind the scenes. And those are things that we're helping them with. So it's pretty exciting time.
Oh, it's totally exciting. Yeah. Now I think of it like at least it's totally in the infancy of where it will go. But right now it's definitely, hey, I can think faster, I can write faster, I can make decisions faster, I can provide more value. And it's really about creativity. But I think the end result is we can be more creative, we can provide more value, and we can have better relationships with
Right.
each other. Like I feel like the last 20 years has been trying to keep up with all the minutia, like where everybody's just overwhelmed with all the button clicking and learning. And whereas I think there'll be a transition, but it'll make technology easier to do more. So
Yeah.
hopefully that'll
I
be.
think, a lot of the things we talk about, because we don't have to provide all those things, but if all those services, but if we went to the franchisees and said, hey, we're going to teach you how to, build those relationships and work with the families and do placements and do all the services, but you have to put together an email marketing program, and you need to be, posting socially, and you need to learn AI and do all these different things. They're not going to be able to do it. They're not going to be able to do it. So we have to, they can go do it. The way we're set up, if they want to go do that, they can themselves. But we're there to really support them and help them through that and do a lot of the research. And so, as I say, it's challenging and exciting at the same time.
Yeah. It's a wake up call for all businesses. Like if you want to be more productive and you want to be more efficient and hit the bottom lines, then you'll have to embrace it. And because your competition will eventually, right? Eventually, everybody's going to have superpowers, and you don't know they have the superpowers because they're over there using some new tools, right? So anyway, we want to make sure that this brand is ahead of a curve in that regard, and we'll keep doing that. So yeah, and I know you're definitely a guy that likes to stay on top of technology. Tell me a little bit about the future for Senior Care Authority before we wrap up today. Tell me what you see the future as being, not only for the brand, but just senior care in general. Like any trends, any ideas about where you see things moving? What do you think the most important things are to focus on right now as you continue building your brand?
One thing to realize is we're still at our infancy stage. Okay. There's a lot of people in the in-home care market. There's a lot of people that's probably the area that has grown the fastest, in-home care, assisted living locations opening up all over the country and all of that. But I guess the best way to, you've known me a while and you know how I like using analogies, right? So yeah, I guess the best way to explain it is the term silver tsunami. It's kind of been overused, but that's a term that's been used in our industry, the silver tsunami, right? Well, guess what? It's just drizzling rain right now. As the tsunami has not hit. It's just drizzling rain. The skies are starting to gray. All right. We're at our infancy stage. All right. So somebody who's interested in coming into this business, it's not too late. That's for sure. I mean, even we look at where we have a lot of locations around the country, but we're not even close to filling up this entire country with locations where we want to be in key markets. And it's not just in the United States that this is needed, our type of a service. It's needed outside the U.S. So you were asking kind of what our plans are. Certainly our concentration is here in the U.S. and to continue to develop there. But we've got our eyes on other areas of the world and in key markets where we could provide as good of, not better of a service, in other markets as well. So, but our core is here in the U.S. And we want to make sure we're doing the best job possible here before we step into other areas of the world.
Gotcha. Well, in all of that, it made me start thinking, well, if I were someone interested in getting involved in the industry, particularly potentially to work in the industry, run a business, a franchisee potentially, what would, you've seen some of our top people. You've been working with them since the beginning. You know what that sort of DNA looks like for these folks. And by the way, we have a lot of top people. I know you do, I should say. But there's still a way that you approach looking for the right fit because you want it to win for everybody. We're in this together, right? And you care about their success as much as they care about ours, and we're all in it together. So, what would you say is the best piece of advice, or if someone is looking into this, what should they look within themselves for to know? Yeah, this could be an industry for me because clearly there's a huge need, and that's not going away. But what is that inner? What do they have to have? What are some of the attributes that you look for?
Probably the best thing for me to do is look at our top franchises. If we take a look at our top 10 or 20 franchises across the country, there is a common denominator. All right. Actually, there's two common denominators. The majority of them, not all, but the majority of them, unfortunately, have gone through care or long distance caregiving with a family member or close friend. They've seen it happen, whether it be to a grandparent, a parent, or other family member. And I'm not saying that that's a prerequisite, but there is a common denominator there that you just have that desire to go out and really help others and hopefully help them and not have to go through as much pain as maybe you went through with your own loved ones. All right. So that's one common denominator we see, not a prerequisite. But what we do see in those top people that I believe is a prerequisite is that you have to have the ability to and have a want to build relationships. All right. Going out there face to face, pressing the flesh, as they say, and getting to know people and getting them to trust you. And you want to be a good networker, because that's where your business is going to be coming from. And then as far as the compassion and working with the families, I tell this to prospective franchisees, and I'll say it here too. And we may, there might be people who are thinking about it and go, well, maybe this isn't for me, but as a franchisor, there's regulations that prohibit me from making certain promises. But I do say I'll make this promise that if somebody got into our industry, you will have adult children. When I say adult children, I'm talking people in their 50s and 60s crying on your shoulder. It's going to happen. All right. And so you want to make sure that you're the type of person that could handle that, be a good listener. That's a key. Being a good listener is much better than being a good presenter. All right. Because I as you know, I kind of shied away from saying the term, oh, you need to be a good salesperson or whatever. All right. You need to be a good listener. You need to be a good relationship builder. All right. And if you have those types, if you feel confident with that, you enjoy doing that, then we could teach you the rest, you know. And we've had some very successful franchise owners with that type of background. And so again, if you're not, if you don't have experience with that, but you feel you can be just because of the type of person you are, then hey, great. We'd love to talk to you, and see if it could be a good fit.
No, I see it's a unique model because it's rare that you get that combination of great business model, great opportunity with something like that can be gratifying in that sense. And of course, it does take a certain kind of person, but I think a lot of us would enjoy having customers that care or that appreciate us, right? I don't think that ever is. And I can tell from the reviews, I've read a lot of the reviews from this brand, and it is like the crying on the shoulder. There's crying in the reviews. They type it out. You can almost feel the crying, right? It's a big thing for folks to go through, but it's always so much appreciation in when they express their gratitude. So I can feel what you're relating to.
Yeah. If I could add something also, Rob, one of the first questions we get asked, is this a home-based business? All right.
Yeah.
And it is, but it is because you don't need to have an office.
Right.
You don't need to have an office. All right. It's not like people are going to be coming over to your office. All right. You'll be meeting them and all that. So it's not necessary, though we have a couple people that prefer to have an office.
Yeah.
But the reason I bring that up, sometimes people think, oh, I have a home-based business. I could just be behind my desk at home in front of my computer all day, right? And if that's what you want to do, then this type of business also is not, it's not for you. Because just because it's home base, that doesn't mean you're going to be sitting behind your desk all day behind your computer. Because I always tell people, if you find yourself doing that, you're going to have a tough time. All right. This is a relationship business. And that's the key to all of this.
Well, and I would say that's a huge advantage because where the world's going, I think you need that diversity and relationships are key. And being, I think that was kind of cool back. I remember when I started on the internet, that was one of my main goals. Like I wanted to learn the internet and work in a lap type lifestyle kind of a business. And that really, I don't think goes so far, right? Like I think COVID probably reminded a lot of people why they didn't mind getting out of the house every day. So I think it's good to have a balance. So you get a little both here with this brand. So I think that's good. If folks wanted to learn more about Senior Care Authority for any of the reasons we talked about, what's the best way to reach out to us?
If you go to our website, which is seniorcareauthority.com, which is our main site, and then right on the top of that website, it will have franchise opportunities. If you're interested in learning about the franchise, just click on there. We'll take you to that section of our website. A lot of great information and videos, and we'll give you. You could fill out a form if you want. You can make a phone call if you want. However you want to communicate, we have that option for you if you'd like to learn. But if you just want to learn a little bit more about what we do as an organization, just go to seniorcareauthority.com and there's links to the franchisees and their websites and all of that on there. So it's a pretty robust site with a lot of good information. Like you, I do a podcast as well called Boomers Today Radio. And it's not only on the radio, but it is a podcast, and the podcasts are on there as well. So a lot of good information.
Amazing information, I might add on that. So, yeah, if you want to understand the players in the industry and what's happening, that podcast is, I highly recommend that as well. Great indirect way to learn the business. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's been great. I appreciate your time today, Frank. Obviously, I think we could probably go another hour, but I know that we want to keep it somewhat, respect time and all that. So I really appreciate that you came on today and shared more, and I hope to have you back again soon. Good to have you.
Rob, thanks again. It was a pleasure, and it's great everything that you do and helping to educate people on your show.
You got it. Yeah, I love franchising. So keep doing that as well. You keep doing the senior care, and we'll be doing a good thing together. There you go.
You got it. Thank you.
Appreciate you.